So last week when I was going over the Season of the Deep Aquanaut seal, I mentioned the fact that depths would be something that happens over the coming weeks, and that is in fact true. Today, we now have access to the Midnight Depth, which is an addition to the original Twilight Depth that we had to do in Deep Dive. So, let's take a look at how this works. In the normal mission, you're going to start right as the Twilight Depth left off from last week, but the actual Deep Dive starts from the beginning. A lot of you are probably wondering, how would you even go and fight some of the bosses then if you skip right past them? You actually have to fail the encounter, and you have to wait for the timer to go down, and that's how you're able to fight the Twilight boss again. So starting from this week, if you are in a match-made activity, chances are the players that you're with will want to go all the way to the end. So I do not expect that you'll be able to redo this specific part with people unless you have friends. However, you can in fact load into a private deep dive match, which allows you to go and fail whatever encounters you want in order to fight whatever bosses you want. But if you want to actually go and fight the Midnight boss this week, what you have to do is just simply complete everything that you need to do within the first deep dive encounter and get it all done within the time limit. If you are able to complete everything in the time limit, 2 more Asa gifts that you can claim. You're going to get a selection of 1 of 2 other Asa gifts like you got at the beginning of the mission, and then you'll end up going straight down into the second deep dive, which is the Midnight level. And next week when you go down to the Abyss level depth, it's going to be the same exact thing. If you want to go back and fight any of the other bosses before that, you will have to go and fail the encounters that are on the boss's depth. But keep in mind, as you get down further and further into deep dives, all of the enemies are going to have very, very high power levels, which means that they are going to be even harder to face as you get lower. There's also another thing. The pressurized deep triumph that I mentioned in the prior seal guide can only be completed if you trigger a pressure trial on all 3 possible encounters on all 3 depths. So within the first Twilight level, you're going to have the Tolan Ghost that you can activate and do either blights or other taken things. That has to be completed within the time limit and allow you to go down to the Midnight depth. And then the same thing happens when you activate the pressure trial on the second encounter in the Midnight depth with all the taken ogres and taken captains. That is something you'll have to do and complete within the time limit again. And then you go all the way down to the Abyss depth and again, 1 on each encounter. So it is a challenging triumph, and it is definitely something I would recommend having match-made activities for. I hope this clears up how the deep dives work and inform you correctly on how to complete your seal guides. Now, let's get into the extra things that I want to include in this video, which are a couple of flower locations that you can find in the Midnight levels. And next week, expect a full guide including all 6 possible plants and flora, as well as the ghost shell that you can get as an exclusive item for claiming them all.